Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a quick Dollar Tree tutorial. I am going to show you guys how I make these adorable little notebooks. I am sure you probably have seen them before, to be quite honest, because I got the inspiration from one of my Dollar Tree Facebook groups that I am a part of. I've actually been doing quite a few Dollar Tree crafts lately, so I will probably be posting a bunch of different videos in regards to those. But today's is just showing you how I put these together. So these are all made using my scraps. I have this big box of scraps. Every time I cut something down, I usually toss it into this box if it's going to fit. If it's bigger than this box, because I've just taken like a small piece of paper from something, then I usually stick it in the front of the paper pad. So I dug through my box of paper pads, and then I dug through that box and I pulled out all of the different scraps that I have so that I could create these. The bases are actually scraps of chipboard because I have a ton of scrap of chipboard as well from making mini albums. So making these is really, really simple. I use my handy dandy cutting board here. All right, so you're gonna take this awesome little writing tablet that measures out to 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. And we're going to split it in half, approximately in half. Do your best to try to make it look even. Yeah, that about works for me. Okay, and then you just pop it on its, right there. Like that, and it rips apart nicely. Oh, looks like I'm gonna have to Mod Podge a couple pages. This one didn't rip perfectly. All right, but then you have 2 pads of 50 sheets of paper. Okay, we are then going to take our X-Acto knife. Okay, and you're going to measure 2 7/8 inches into the center, and we are going to cut them in half. If you have one of those handy dandy overhand lever paper cutters, more power to you. That's going to make this much, much easier. You can then, if you choose, leave them like this, and you can have like the long to-do list, grocery list type notebooks and notepads, which are always fun. Or you can do as I do, and then we cut it in half again, right along this blue line here. And then we wind up with our notepads at this size, which measures out to 4 3/8 by 2 7/8. Okay. So we have that. We then take some of our scrap chipboard. If you're like me, you've got a ton of scrap chipboard because I like to make mini albums and I like to make, nifty little containers and things like that. If you saw my last tutorial video, I did a 3-drawer caddy using, old birch boxes, and that used up quite a bit of chipboard and left me with, different odds and ends of scraps. Okay, so we're going to take our chipboard, and you want to cut your chipboard down to 4 1/2 by 2 1/2. That's not the right piece of chipboard. Huh? So you're gonna take your piece of chipboard, and it needs to measure 4 1/2 by 3. Okay, and that is the perfect size for these notepads that we've cut down. And that leaves just a nice little tiny rim all the way around the side. Okay, and then you are going to dig into your scrap papers. If I have a box that is just full of scrap paper, I dug through my scrap box and I pulled out all of my pieces of scrap paper. And I then took those and cut them down so that they're about half an inch or so all the way around the piece of chipboard. Okay, and then using your Mod Podge or whatever glue it is that you like to use, you will then glue your chipboard down to your paper like so. So then you have this right here. Okay, once it's glued down, you want to miter all of your edges. Boop, boop, and fold it over and glue it shut. And that's how you get these nice full, cuts that line up like this. Okay. From there, you want to cut another piece of paper. I use printer paper. You can use whatever you want. Like in this one, for example, I used some old scrap paper I had that's kind of cream to go with the flowers. And that worked really nicely for that pad. This one, I just used printer paper. And then you glue that down so that you have a nice closed up lid. Okay? Then you're going to take your bottom piece, because you're going to have two pieces that are cut from the same paper. If you want to do it differently, you can. You could have two pieces like this that are cut from separate pieces of paper. Okay, and you're going to take your paper pad, I've already glued this one down, but put a small bead of glue that goes across the top of your paper pad here, on the back of course, and glue it down. I do not make these reusable. You are more than welcome to come up with a more creative way to stick something onto this back cover and make this reusable, because as you can see, it comes with this like thicker piece of cardboard on the back. And so you'd be able to slide that into like a pocket or something, and you can make this reusable if you chose. Okay, then you're going to take your top cover, stick that on top, and we are going to get another scrap piece of paper that I measure out to about 1.5 inches. Yeah, this one's 1.5 inches. By 3 inches, because that is the width of our notebooks. Okay. And then you want to glue this to the top of your book. All right. All right. So I like to, as you just saw, fold it along the top at first so I can get a nice little idea. And then I spread my glue inside. All right. Make sure that is down, and then I stick it on. And then you're just going to take and we're going to brandish that down like so. Ah! All right. Make sure it's all nice and flat. Oops, I don't like that one's folded a little bit. Stick a little bit more glue in that since I just pulled that up. And that's another nice thing about Mod Podge, is it's very sticky, but it doesn't dry right away, so you can peel it up and reposition things if you need to. Boop. And then you've got a nice little notebook with your top connected and ready to give away in a swap, just to give to a friend or as I'm creating these for an upcoming craft fair, I plan on doing a lot more craft fairs and just getting a lot more involved in the selling of my crafts during 2020. So I am just making a bunch of these. I have created so many of these because from one pad of paper, oops, some of them I have not glued the tops onto yet, you can create 8 paper pads, which is fantastic. There's the lid for that one. There's that one. So I've got 8 wonderful paper pads, 2 of which I need to finish putting together. Sorry, 3 of which I need to finish sticking together. And then you can make them to open up like this. You can make them to open up like this. So that is all up to you on how you want to do them. If you choose to do it like this is just one solid piece of paper. And then just like you would a mini album, basically. So that is my quick Dollar Tree craft of the day. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And until next time, have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.